The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, I was bouncing away there. Welcome aboard the Bhoycie bus. It's the Double Doon show. It's Friday night and we have a guest. Yes, we do. We have a guest. And as I've said, it's always going to be a wee bit about on the Bhoycie bus, giving a bit back to the passengers, giving the passengers, the viewers, whatever you want to call yourselves, a part of the show. I want yous on the Double Doon quiz. I don't want some former footballer giving me some generic pish that he always dedicated every day to being the best he possibly could when he's probably talking shite anyway. We want you guys on the Double Doon show, and it is with great pleasure we welcome Liam Collow onto the Bhoycie bus. Liam, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good yourself, my boy.
Very well, mate. Very well indeed. I built you up there, mate. No
I
pressure.
know. I know. Everyone's favourite Googler's on the show now.
Oh, brilliant to have you on, mate. Brilliant to have you on the bus. And what do you make of the bus? It's actually it's bigger than it looks from the outside, isn't it?
Yeah, that is really big, aye.
Anyway, we are going to be talking some serious Celtic tonight, of course. We will be doing our usual Celtic debate. On top of that, we are going to be doing the Double Doon quiz at the end of the night. We're going to be going through the messages as always as well and trying to get as many talking points raised. Loads to get through. I know it's notoriously the winter break. It's a wee bit shite unless there's transfers happening every single day. Do you know what I mean? To find some talking points. But Ange heard my call and came out with an interview at 7 o'clock tonight on Celtic TV, the CelticFC.com, whatever it was on. And that gave us some content to sort of chew over tonight. So a big thank you to Mr. Postecoglou. Liam, we have more big news. Not just have you joined the Bhoycie bus, but we have sponsorship news. If you look up the top left there, that's right. We've only been on the bus for a month, and I'm delighted to announce that fanboyfootball.com have decided to jump on board and have offered sponsorship to the Bhoycie bus. Delighted to partner up with them. I'm looking forward to seeing how many of you check out the website. I thought it was great to get a sponsor that tied in as well with the vibe that we were doing. And to be fair, fanboyfootball.com actually approached us as well. So that was a real compliment. And I don't like to make it all about, sponsorship and merchandise and all that. But at the end of the day, the machine has to be oiled, and sometimes these things need to happen. So it's brilliant to have fanboyfootball.com. We'll maybe work at bringing the logo down a wee bit, but if you get a chance to go on the website, absolutely do that, but only after the bus is pulled up for the night, because we have one hell of a show ahead. The comments are flying in, Liam. Talk to me about how you came across the Bhoycie bus, and tell us a bit about yourself as well.
Well, I came across about this other podcast, you might have known of it. So, we might not just mention that now. So, I've came across the bus for that, having been big man on Twitter and all that. So, it was just a natural progression. So,
Yep.
everything else I've sort of came from an IT background, junior football as well. So,
Brilliant.
Celtic's always been my greatest love.
Let's see that strip, mate. That looks a belter.
It's
Love it.
See, the St. Martin Love Street game.
Love Street game, mate. Brilliant. Some comments firing, but it's good to have you with us, Liam.
Yeah.
Anyway, just to remind everyone, you're the youngest passenger on the bus, I think, that we've got as well.
I think so, you young 22.
22. Right, obviously when we play Championship Manager, we play the date of boys. So that must mean you were born in what? 1999?
99.
Wow, that is mad. That is mad. Matt McIver thought our sponsors maybe could have been Stagecoach, Arriva, or First. We'll get there one day, mate. We'll get there one day. We are delighted to have fanboyfootball.com's sponsorship, though, and obviously hope that it will be a long and prosperous relationship and all that. But yeah, check out the site for some cool football t-shirts that they're doing right now. Pato Bhoycie sponsored by Fanboy. Sevco sponsored by Duff and Phelps. It starts already. Honest Mistake comes in. He says the bus needs oil to take us to success. This is it, mate. It's not about rubbing it in people's faces. There's a sponsor and all that shite. I was never going to go down the Manscaped road. All respect to those who have, by the way. So that's not a dig. Just I like to do things a wee bit different. Marty,
Oh, I know.
he could be your father, mate. You never know.
Oh, I know. Paisley doesn't he help? Everybody could be your failure.
And it comes Brown Warrior, third goal, Love Street, still his favourite. Everyone reminiscent with the top that you're wearing tonight, Liam. Yeah. So that says ease gently, mate. That's been 8 minutes already that we've been on. Obviously, that includes the best intro in Celtic. Best intro in Celtic podcast history, man. That tune gets better and better. Shall we chew the fat and some Celtic, Liam?
Yes, if you want, aye. Let's get into the crack.
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it. So, here we go. Ange has been obviously giving us good content to discuss tonight. So he's saying there's no time to reflect on the season so far. He says, although progress has been made, and he said that was the most satisfying part so far, and that's the main thing. He says, but the question we want to ask is, how far, Liam, have Celtic came in the Ange era so far? Over to you, mate.
I would say, coming into it, with Joe, especially that shite result, my luck swear.
Yeah, I did. You're on the Bhoycie bus, mate.
Aye. Just wait, sure. Come for that shite result at Birmingham Tynecastle to winning the first domestic trophy and still being in that title picture.
Yep.
Coming into that Christmas and New Year, even though we're still 6 points behind. But that's only 3 games if you think about it, and that's it.
Aye.
The 3 Glasgow derbies against that mob for the south side or whatever the Govan. So that was. I would say it's personally in our hands to Birmingham lose rather than in their hands.
Well, I think so far for me, I just think that I was, and I've never made any apology for it. I think Ange had to, for whatever reason, I wasn't as gushing over what his record was before he came to Celtic as others were. I felt terms like trophy laden and things were a wee bit misleading when you actually, scratch the surface a wee bit further. I felt a 26-year managerial career, 5 league titles, 2 failed World Cup qualifying campaigns, Australia under-21s, which is a relatively easy qualifying campaign. I looked at some of his defeats. They were against countries that were ranked like 1,000 in the world or something mental like that. It was crazy small teams he'd been beat off. And not that he had to, he needs to win Bhoycie over by any stretch, but I just felt that, I wasn't as convinced it was going to work as much as other people were. What he's done for me though is, whilst we knew his hands were tied a bit, Liam, and his hands were tied, no two ways about it. He didn't have a lot of time, but the thing is, what he has done is he's brought in players like Kyogo, like Jota, that the fans have really bought into, and then he's brought in a couple of more reliable players that are a wee bit less glamorous, Joe Hart being one. And what he's done is, the most impressive is get all the fans on side. And I think when we look at where the Celtic team was, as you rightfully point out, Liam, at that Midtjylland game to where they are now, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Aye. Some of the players he knows, so that wee Kyogo, didn't he play with him at Mariano's, what was it?
Yeah, F Marinos, yep, Oklahoma Marinos, yep.
So he knows all these players from out that sort of neck of the woods, so he probably knows how to get the best out of these players.
Yep.
Then you've got the likes of Joe Hart, third choice at Tottenham. To get to that sort of age, you just rather just get more games on the belt and get a few more last trophies. And that's just his chance to maybe, if he wants a game down in England again, that's just his chance to come up and prove himself, just to get that wee run, say you're lower.
Yep.
If you want to go back to who would probably be a Villa, even though don't mention the manager. If he wants a bumming one last wee run down there.
Yep. The comments are flying, and didn't worry too much when I just like to show the comments as you're talking, Liam. So didn't get too distracted by them, mate. I just bring them all up as we go, mate. Everyone likes to see their name in lights, mate. Right. It's all good. I think the comment Connor's making here, and I wonder if you agree with this, Liam. I think it's brilliant. I mean, Lee Griffiths, realistically, I was probably at a stage I was all for him getting that 1-year deal as well at the time, before obviously all the nonsense that he got up to after that. But the reason you were so desperate for him to get the deal was because the squad was so threadbare. They're not going to have time to bring in a replacement. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously, what we've seen now is, a squad, the quality we've got now is night and day. And he's done all this in 6 months whilst keeping us in a title race. He's delivered a trophy, albeit it's not the European competition I want us to be in. So I wouldn't say this is necessarily an achievement. But the fact is we are still in Europe after the winter period, after Christmas. And that's got to be seen as a positive as well, albeit I'm not going to sit and kid on that it's the tournament I want us to be in. Do you know what I mean? But I think when we look at it right now, would you say it's been a positive 5 months, hasn't it?
That's been, from what we were expecting at the start of the year, was it's absolutely brilliant position we're in now. Especially going under 25 points last year. Being in Christmas, just being in that touching on from him. It's unbelievable what the man's done.
I agree, and I think it's brilliant as well. The brilliant thing with Ange Postecoglou is he's got, and I don't even know if I've said this before. I feel sometimes like the fans were desperate to have a Messiah in charge and go back to the loving that we had with Rodgers, where it was just, as Rodgers himself spoke about, a holy trinity. And I think that is basically what we've been. The fans were aware that brought success when you had, the manager on side in unison with the players and the fans and that sort of holy trinity thing, and everything sort of goes from there. And I think we were just desperate to do it. And I think there was a loving of Ange that was probably slightly over. Do you know what I mean? Like, for what he'd actually done. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But either way, what it's done is create this positive vibe, and it's brought that unity between fans and players and management, and it's actually worked in our favour. So the fans deserve a big pat in the back, because I think they all bought in and jumped on a manager's back, like to back him a lot more than what they perhaps could have. Being deflated that we didn't get Eddie Howe, the fact Postecoglou was a bit of an unknown, the fact I was maybe doubtful of it. I thought maybe that would be more widespread than it was, but Postecoglou's been backed unbelievably by these fans. And, it's been a brilliant journey so far under him. There's been times I've been pissed off. I can't deny that. However, on the whole, I think it's been I think it's been a really positive thing, and I think I've got to agree with Con Tuck here. I mean, you contrast and compare this with last season. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
what do you think? What would you make of that? There's a big difference, isn't there?
Well, last season was just couldn't watch it anymore. At near the end, it was now we're just getting all this wonderful fibber, especially this wee boy Maeda coming in.
Yep.
Just imagine that front three of Kyogo, Maeda, and Yota up front. It'd just be unbelievable just to watch the three of them just in action.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, last season, Edouard was our top scorer, but to be fair, up top, he did look a wee bit disinterested at times. I don't think he did himself justice, if I'm honest with you, albeit,
His heart was in it.
Do you not?
No, I don't. John, I think he was promised. I think he was promised a move after we got the 9, and that way we told him we're keeping to the 10. So I don't think his just heart was in it to be his number Edward.
No, I think that's an interesting point, and I mean, I also think as well that when you look at the team last year, there was more than just Edward not interested. Let's just call it like it is. It wasn't just him. He's got that languid style about him.
Yeah.
You know, almost Samaras-esque, where, you know what I mean? It was like, you could tell, you know, he sticks out more like a sore thumb when he's not interested because he's got that sort of lazy style. But I think, you know, you look at Ryan Christie, for example, I think he checked out last year. You know, Chris Ayer, albeit I thought was a professional till the end, albeit he was one of the players that wanted out. There's other examples, I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but you know, it was strange last season. What we've got this year is, even if we find out the 3 Japanese signings aren't maybe of Kyogo's ability, or maybe one of them is, and the other 2 aren't, you're going to get guys that are so up for this, so up for the challenge, that have complete faith in their manager and want to give him 110%. They want to run through brick walls, all the sort of usual cliches you hear. I think that is what encourages me the most. And what he's also done is the guys that were there before, like Callum McGregor's, etc., who maybe could have got a wee bit exasperated and thought, you know what, I've been here, first team regular, best part of a decade. I fancy it. Going into my peak years, I fancy it in the English Premier League. Instead, he's been named captain, and you see when Callum McGregor talks about the manager, how highly he speaks of him. That, to me, is a huge tip of the, doff of the cap to Postecoglou as well, isn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, plus I think the boy McGregor loves Celtic, so
of course.
So that way, you get some of these players. I think it was the same with McState when he was here. He could have went Man United or Arsenal or the big clubs down in, but I think he just loves Celtic that much. He just had his whole career here.
I agree with that. So, another interesting thing that Ange said, and I think this has caught us all out a wee bit, and that is that Hatate was signed as an attacking midfielder. Do we need a left back in that case? I just want to say, by the way, sorry, I brought up a post earlier about Endless Celts, which I meant to sort of promote there. They did an interview that they released just before I went on. I'm just trying to find it. Where was the post? I think it was Daniel MC that posted it. A wee love in for them. And I like that because they're good lads. Yeah, there it is there. So the Endless Celts did an interview with Ross McCall, obviously very famous actor. And I did an interview with Endless Celts. They did that 8 till 9. I've not had a chance to watch it because I was obviously preparing for tonight's show. You know, getting Liam warmed up, you know what I mean? Not easy. But I'm like kidding. And basically, that's been on tonight, and that's on their YouTube channel. So I will be watching that probably tonight or tomorrow over my lunch break. So looking forward to it, lads. Right, on to the next talking point. As I was saying there about Hatate, we did seem to think Rio Hatate was going to be a left back. But it turned out, it sort of started coming to light that he'd only actually played left back a handful of times for his club. Andrew's quite blunt, as he tends to be in interviews, on the fact that he's signed as an attacking midfielder. That's where he's going to be playing. So he's maybe coming in to be that direct competition with Turnbull and Rogic. And to be honest, I don't think they're the sort of players we can hang a hat on. 60, 65, 60 starts a season like you could Callum McGregor. I think that area did need further competition with Hatate. Does it mean that we do still need a left back in that case and in this window, Liam?
I think we probably could still do with a cover left back, just in that way we've got Taylor there, and we've got Ball and goalie, but it's just having that extra pair of legs so that just in case something happens with him. I would take that Bhoycie that Josh Doig at Hibs. I think he would be a brilliant just do like a wee sort of just rotation, come in and out sort of thing. Or maybe if we can ever get Aaron Hickey, just as that comment.
There you go, mate.
So I reckon
think-
we could bring them in, and even if that boy the way Hickey can play right as well, so that way he covers both right and left back.
Yep. I mean, it's interesting with Hickey though, because I was listening to the old Clyde one phone in the other night for my sins. I actually quite like it. I'm not gonna lie. I quite like it. And it was quite interesting because on one of the callers had said basically that how much would Aaron Hickey cost? He's made more starts in Serie A for Bologna this season, I think he said, than Nathan Patterson had in his whole time in the SPFL with Rangers. One's went for £12 million, allegedly. We're not getting into the debate about how much, who cares? But something like that, let's say it was an 8-figure sum. Realistically, why, how expensive would an Aaron Hickey now be? Would he be more than what Patterson was? Would he be less? And how much would you realistically, Liam, be willing to spend on a player like Aaron Hickey?
I would just pay how much we can afford for him. Even if it's like 9-10 million, just get the boy in.
You think so?
I just bring him in.
Wow.
So that way, if it's in our budget, we can afford to bring him in. Just bring him in. There's a few other boys I'm like that. We just bring him in. If it costs you a few million, you can flip him for a profit. If he does well at the club.
Well, the thing is, I raised my eyebrows when you said if it's 9-10 million to do it. But the other flip side of that is, flip it, I have actually been saying for a long time now that I think Celtic should be in a position now, with the way transfer fees have inflated over the last 20 years, I find it scandalous that the record buy was Chris Sutton up until Hudson Edward.
Yeah.
18 years between them. That's a club not moving with the times.
Yes.
I'm not expecting Celtic to be spending £45 million on players and stuff like that. But what I do expect is us to have broke our transfer record at least once within 18 years. I mean, come on, that just seems common sense to me.
Aye.
How can a football club go 18 years not, breaking the transfer record unless they're trying to downsize all the time? We spoke about this the other night on the Championship Manager stream. Now, if we were spending £9-10 million on players on a regular basis, you're right. You can do a wee quick flip round on that within a couple of years if they come in and press. But we see that's too big a gamble. But for me, if you're investing that sort of money, the risk is going down on the player because obviously they're going to be of a certain quality level that the chances are they are going to do a good job and give us a better chance of playing at a higher level, i.e. Champions League. And then if you've got players that play regular for a couple of years in the Champions League and you make a decent fist of it, don't get cuffed every game, then before you know it, their individual valuations all rise. And before you know it, that money keeps getting recycled. And then your £9-10 million players, you're then in 3 years looking at £12-15 million players, and you go on a steady upward trajectory. And then you end up a sort of like an Ajax sort of model. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
maybe you're right.
That's the model I sort of want to be in that sort of ranges where Ajax is now. We've got history. We're probably the richest team in Scotland by a country mile. So that way, how can we not afford to go out buy two £10 million players in the summer sort of thing, or this window?
No, I agree with you, mate. I agree. Helen's asking what's happening with Rio Hatate. When will it be introduced? I'm not sure, but Angie's interview tonight, Helen, and good to have you on the bus, by the way. But Angie's interview tonight suggests that that's done and dusted. He will be here very soon. He seemed very relaxed. Adam Beanie Smith's coming in with some breaking news from Anthony Joseph, brilliant journalist. Follow him on Twitter, Sky Sports. I'm sure he's a good Celtic fan as well. And he says Celtic have knocked back an offer from Udinese for Stephen Welsh. They've asked for a loan with an option to buy it, and Celtic have rejected. First I've heard of that. I mean, right now, it's interesting because it actually takes us on to another point that's a wee bit further down the line, but I'll bring it up so it all ties in. And that was Liam Shaw's just joined Motherwell on loan. I think that's a great move, Liam, for all parties. He won't be the only one to leave. The manager's already hinted at that as well. Who else should depart either on loan or permanently? And there you have it. Udinese have made their mind up. But from a Celtic persuasion, who would you consider loaning or getting rid of permanently right now?
I've got about a list about half a dozen.
Aye, that's cool. Go for it.
Yep. Getting rid of Barkas. That we probably send him out to Greece or somewhere, roll it back to Athens, where he's probably still got that stock of playing because we've got him there. And Yeti, just both of them, just recover the loss we got. We're going to lose money on them, so just get the money and use it elsewhere. Probably we need to get wee Ugur Giri from the Sheffield United Wednesday boy out on loan till the end of the season to Northern Motherwell. And if the rumours are true about Lee Griffiths coming back, probably need to get him off the world. It's just best for both parties, just because everything's went on there. And probably just other boys like Mikey Johnson out on loan, just to give him more first team football, because that front line is very stacked at the moment.
Yeah.
So that way he needs that opportunity to go out and prove himself, then do what like Ryan Christie done. If he goes to a Habs or a Aberdeen or a Motherwell, then he can come in at the start of next season and that way with first team minutes under his belt, so he can go and play.
No, I agree with you, Liam. I agree with you. I think there's players there now. I think Andrew will be having one eye on wages, get that down, and it might allow him to get. I don't get me wrong. I don't think his business is done, not by a long shot yet. This January, I think there's a couple more still to come in, but he might now be looking at likes of Barkas, Bolingoli, Sorrow. It looks like.
Yeah, he's off to
Ajeti, Barkas, Ajeti, Bolingoli, Sorrow. You think of those four wages. Bolingoli's been in the Belgium squad. I know he's not been capped by them, but he's actually been in the Belgian squad. So you'd imagine to attract a £3 million left back like him, who's on teetering around the Belgium international side, he's probably on 15 grand a week, something like that. A Yeti coming for the English Premier League could be 20 grand a week. You're looking at Barkas, Greeks. He was the Greek number 1 when we signed him. You know, a Champions League experience. He'll be on 15 grand a week. There's the meat and bones of 50 grand a week just for those three. And Sorrow will be on a smaller wage because he came from Israel, I'm sure. Obviously a lot more than what I get paid, but you know what I mean.
Probably most of these players are on what we are on a week, not a year.
I don't think he'll be on the breadline anytime soon. But you look at the the sort of the meat and bones of that is 55 grand a week, something like that. And Ange might be looking at that and going, tell you what, you save that each week, and then that could free up more wages for maybe one more sort of statement signing, if you like. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I think we then need to look at who we want to loan out. You touched on it there, Liam, brilliantly about Mikey Johnson following the blueprint of Ryan Christie and Christopher Ajer. Couldn't agree more with that. I think it's a blueprint we should be following more often when you consider the examples and how well both Christie and Ajer came back to Celtic. They'd improved individually, but crucially, and I always look at things from a Celtic perspective, not the players' perspective. They only care about one thing, and that's their own development, right? But what they both did was improve Celtic's first team squad when they came back, and eventually, after a year or so of on the return, improved Celtic's first team. Now, that is the impact I'd be looking to have for anyone we're loaning out now. There's no point in loaning players out to Queen's Park because they're never going to be ready for the first team. SPFL is an ideal place to start loaning players out on a more regular basis. What do you make of that, Liam?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. Go get them out to the SPL clubs. Means they don't need to play against us. And if you're lucky, you get Mikey Johnson out playing at Habs or something. Get a couple of points off for Rangers.
Yep.
Or Sevco. I don't know what way to sway the night with Sevco or Rangers. So maybe take points of them at Ibrox or at Easter Road.
Mm-hmm.
Then that means if we keep winning our games in hand, brings us the title home this year.
No, you never know, mate. You never know. And I think I mean, I think there is a long way to go in this window, absolutely. And I think loaning players out is going to be crucial for the first team in the next couple of years to come, because I've got high hopes of Liam Shaw. I really do. Now, John Tomlinson of Endless Celts, he came in earlier and said he still thinks as a player in sorrow, he would like him loaned out. I was saying this a month ago. I said, I think come January, it might do everyone a favour if he goes to a Hibs and Aberdeen, somewhere like that. And, one of the higher, like top 6 sort of club, you would like to think. And maybe just needs to get his confidence up, become the sort of main man, and come back with a wee bit more swagger again. Right now, what we've seen is a guy trying to be a million different people from one day to the next. I'm only kidding, that's Richard Ashcroft. But he's trying to be He's trying to be in a million different positions, covering too many areas. He's basically a headless chicken at times. And I wonder, the links are that obviously there could be permanent interest from New York Red Bulls. That's interest that will be formed by Celtic, I would imagine, waiving his availability to them on a permanent deal. He couldn't get in the team under Neil Lennon, can't get in the team under Ange. One SPFL starts in September, I think. I wonder if, the time might be up for him, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying, I think, when you start hearing about permanent deals to clubs that we've obviously got a bit of a rapport with now, I wonder if his time might be up. The loan moves are very intriguing because I want, as I say, them to come and enhance our team in the next couple of years. But in terms of permanent outs, do you agree, Liam, with Ajete, Barkas, Bolingoli off the bat? Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Even if you need to get them off on a loan, what we've done with Maeda is do like a compulsory buy. Even just get them off the wage bill. Just get them out the door.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. What about Sorrow then? What's your thoughts on that?
I rated him last year, but he was just a positive light in a very poor team last year. But I think he could do with a Liam Shaw, go out to a Motherwell or a Aberdeen or top 6 side and get the game time to get his swagger back, then come back in. Or even just loan him out to the Red Bulls for the rest of the season. Then come back and just get that swagger play to come into his first team again, see how he gets on again.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, I think for me, it's always going to be about the fact that is it in Celtic's best business interest? Because John's came back in and he doesn't like us being a feeder club of sorts for the likes of Red Bulls. The thing is though, John, right? We got good money for Patrick Klimala from them. 3.5 million we got back on a guy that, let's be honest, I wasn't convinced of. I know he came back with the right attitude because he's bulked up and stuff, and Lee Griffiths got fat in lockdown. Klimala got, came back like a tank, but I didn't feel he was up to the job of being a Celtic centre forward. And I think if we were offered 2 million again for Sorrow and to get our money back and just cut our losses, I think Celtic would be very, very tempted by that, the same way they were with Patrick Klimala. In comes Stephen Tomlinson now, and he said, funny how times changed. Sorrow was the bright spot last year. Now he's a distant memory. Does that show how bad we were last year? Sorrow is to go for me. I totally agree with what you're saying. I totally agree. I think that, you look at Sorrow had such a big impact last year for a few months. And I think that is a lot to do with the fact that we were so shite. I really do. And I think that the improvement that we've seen this season, unfortunately, has been left slightly behind. And I actually thought, the way Postecoglou sets up his team, I actually thought, rather than Sorrow playing this Scott Brown role that really wasn't him, I thought he would thrive in a Postecoglou team. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. Right. Here's our next talking point. So, reading an article online earlier on, and potentially, because it's in the Japanese public interest, there is a loophole where if they can, even though they're in the times of the pandemic, they can bring in up to 100 people into the country under special dispensation. That would, obviously, for World Cup qualifiers, include our 4 Japanese stars. Tam Rogic should obviously be away with Australia. That would all fall across dates that would mean they would be missing for the 2nd of February derby. I've said, oh no, on the banner. What is your reaction if we weren't to have them, Liam?
Oh, massive loss. Can we do the blooming 3-game international? This is still the free. If you have 3 players out for an international team, you can get a game called off.
Mm-hmm.
Try and get
So
that option if it's possible. I would say just try and get it. Just we need that full squad of players available to us. I mean, that will make our life a lot harder. Even though, still, look at what they've got in their defence. They're a big, bulky defence they've got. So that way we need that, but like a Tam Rogic in there just to sort of battle them off a wee bit.
No, I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying. I'm just having a wee look at all the comments as well. And Pato's saying now Ralston and Beaton have shown their worth. Sorrow becomes the new whipping boy. I don't think it's that, but I'm going to actually use your point to counter that a wee bit, Pato. I think the fact that Ralston and Beaton have been able to improve so much from a position where both of them were further down the pecking order than Sorrow come the close season. I think the fact they've managed to leapfrog him, Beaton obviously in the same role, and Ralston in terms of how far out the picture he was to now how much he is in the picture. Sorrow was kind of in the picture come the start of the season. It's him who's drifted off. I don't think that necessarily means he's a whipping boy. I just think he's not progressed at the same rate the rest have, and he was probably in a more advantageous position than the other players. Connor comes in, he might know more than us. He's saying Maeda and Ideguchi haven't been capped since 2019. Hatate is yet to make his debut. Here's hoping the Japan FA wait a few months to bring them in. I get what you're saying, but you know our luck at times, Monty's agreeing with you, Liam. He's saying we can cancel, so do it. Which will be, be a very interesting storyline if that were to happen.
Phobia hamstring FC.
And Vim the Tim, just on the last point we were making earlier, he's talking about Sorrow, and he's saying Sorrow should be loaned out. He can improve while making mistakes elsewhere. That's fair. That is fair. Now, back to obviously what we were talking about there. Now, the thing is with the 4 Japanese stars I'm referring to here, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek because we don't actually know the impact the other 3 are going to have between now and the end of this season. Andrew's talking today about how his strategy isn't being reactive to the position we find ourselves in going into the winter break. He says it's very much still the same strategy that he had in the summer and building a team. I like that. I wonder if, the 4 stars, Japanese stars, I think Kyogo would be a miss, such as the amazing, way he started his Celtic career. I had his stats up on Sky Sports earlier. He's 16 goals in all competitions already. It's outstanding. He could have had more than that,
Right. The amount of chances he've missed, he could probably be in the mid-20s already.
Yeah, which is frightening, and he will get better at that as he settles in. This has been his first 5 months in the UK, But it's Tam Rogic that really sticks out for me. I think he's having a brilliant season this year. I think we're a better team when he's been in it. I think he's proven that time and time again. He's capable of moments of magic. And another player who was going to go to Qatar for £4 million, no one blinked an eye. Ange Postecoglou brings him back in and inspires him and gets him better all over again.
He was manager at Australia, to be fair, so he knows how to probably get the best out of Tam Rogic.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I mean, Postecoglou may well go, but he might go, this isn't rocket science. It's Tom Rogic. It's not difficult to get a tune out of him. He's one hell of a player. But you'd be amazed. I mean, the guy we've seen in the last 18 months before, up to last summer, I wasn't concerned if he left, to be honest with you. Now, I see his name missing, perhaps at that time because he's with Australia. It's a real gutter, that,
Aye.
And he's got a good record against them. That's the thing as well, doesn't he?
Well, especially under Brendan Rodgers' spell, it was some record he had against him. Still remember that goal at Ibrox, the 3-2 game.
Oh, the colour into the far corner.
Oh, aye, that one. That was probably one of the best goals I've ever seen him score for Celtic. Yep. I'm not saying it's because it was against Rangers, but it was against Rangers.
I get what you're saying, mate. I get what you're saying. Now, Bruce comes in. He says it's a controversial opinion, but I'm not sure it is that controversial. We know the deal when we buy players from that region, like Japan, Australia, etc. We should be playing the fixtures as they come. But also, if the rules say we can delay it, we can use it. Now, the thing is with that, Bruce isn't wrong. they must have done the research before this and thought, look, if we're going to have 4 guys that are key players, in the team that are all from Japan, and then you've got Tom Rogic, a key player from Australia, there could be times we're going to be missing, half a team, you could argue.
Yeah.
That is why, right now, I feel the strength and depth becomes absolutely massive for Celtic this year. And what we're seeing is, Ange talked about it in the interview as well, that he didn't have that depth when he first came in. Now he feels he's getting a bit closer to it. So he's also alluded to the fact that the majority of injured players will be available for the season restarting. So with this competition that, for places that we're seeing now, Liam, it's getting to where we want it, isn't it? And is now a title-winning Celtic side? I'll let you answer that, mate. I should really say potential title-winning. You know what I mean, though.
Well, there probably is a title-winning team there, but I just feel we need to add a couple of extra players in there just to fill that wee gaps where we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we still need a backup goalie.
Yes, I agree with that.
I'm always convinced that I want that boy Xander Clark at St Johnstone, but I don't know if he would want to come to us to sit in our bench with Joe Hart. Whereas he could probably walk into any other team in the SPL, except for probably Rangers with Alan McGregor.
Well, I think the thing is, though, with Xander Clark, is you sign him and you say him, go take Joe Hart's jersey. That's what it's all about, It's all about competition. And I think right now, Joe Hart's a total role model, and I don't think he would ever get overly complacent, but it's human nature to be aware of your surroundings. And Joe Hart must be acutely aware that he is playing every game unless he's being rested. Do you know what I mean? It's that simple. And I think you get the best out of players when they're pushed a wee bit. Now, the reason I'm talking about...
You just need to look at James Forrest in that case with Paddy Roberts. He's probably playing his best football with Celtic when he had Paddy Roberts.
That's a great example. That's a brilliant example, because I think a lot as well with James Forrest, there's a lot of people that think he had the heart for it, for that sort of battle for a jersey, but, it's always the quiet ones you need to watch out for. And what we found was James Forrest, absolutely agree, played his best football in a Celtic jersey when being pushed by Paddy Roberts for that starting slot. And I just think Joe Hart, you could get even more out of him if you had someone who came in with a bit of presence that Joe Hart looks at in training and goes, well, he could take my jersey. He's hungry. And I think Xander Clark would be hungry. He'd be obviously quadrupling probably his pay packet as well. And money does talk in life. It's a short career. You know what I mean? So you've got, I think, and I think you need to have a wee bit to sign for Celtic, you need to have a wee bit of swagger about you. You need to be a wee bit gallus. I love that word. And I think, if you're coming in as the backup keeper, you're coming in to take the number one's jersey. And Xander Clark maybe would think, I've done my apprenticeship. I'm ready to go to a big club and fight for a number one jersey with a former England international of 75 cap. Why not? And, good luck to whoever it is we bring in. But I certainly hope that is someone of that ilk. I think that was a brilliant point, Liam. Anthony Ingles is on the bus. Yes, Anthony. Lee's saying, evening, guys. What do you think about the whole Griffith situation? Dundee are looking to terminate his loan, but we don't want him back. Think it's the right decision. His Celtic career is over. I mean, it's just a sideshow we don't need, Anthony, as far as I'm concerned. Liam, what do you make of that?
I didn't just release him of his contract early and just get him out the door. That way he's wasted baggage now, to be perfectly honest. He's definitely past his sell-by date at Celtic, so is there any point in actually keeping him around?
There's no point for me. Absolutely no point at all. I don't see any benefit in keeping Lee Griffiths at the club. I think if he comes back, it's just going to be the focus of the media, whether rightly or wrongly at times, it doesn't really matter. We are definitely going to have to just cut our losses on that one, pay him whatever the payoff amount is, wish him all the best. My honest opinion is he's going to go on to have an Anthony Stokes sort of trajectory of his career. You could see him playing in like Cyprus or other places. Like where's the other one that some of them go to? Like like Kazakhstan or something like that. You know what I mean? I could see him doing this sort of hop around sort of some of the smaller leagues in Eastern Europe and things like that, and 6-month spells here and there, a big comeback when he'll go to Partick Thistle or something and it'll just flop. I don't understand it.
Kyle Lafferty.
Aye. And I think, you look at Dundee and you go, that was all there for him. He'd been there before. He could have went in and been a talisman, and yet he still can't even get fit. Now, you think of the fitness levels Postecoglou's demanded on players. No offence to Dundee, but they're different for the levels that are going to be expected at Dundee, and he can't even make them, to the fact they're actually wanting rid of him midway through the season. So I hope that answers your point on that, Anthony, where we stand on it anyway. But yeah, not for me. Donny Boy talking about the keeper situation. Siegrist at United's a decent keeper. Maybe swap him for Bain and some Wintergreen. I mean, Donny, the thing is with that point, which I think's a good one, is Dundee United just signed the Finnish international goalkeeper today. Now, you wouldn't imagine a Finnish international signing to warm the bench. Maybe coming in, as we were talking about earlier there, to compete with Siegrist for the number one. Or maybe there's plans afoot that Siegrist could be on the move. And that's why they've done that. So yeah,
I would take Siegrist as well. I would take Siegrist if we couldn't get Xander Clark. Siegrist would be a good alternative, I would reckon, for Celtic. You would be perfectly confident with him in goals if we were to play a game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that completely. In comes Poshko Ross. When is this quiz thing on B? Need my bed, my man. Poshko, it is coming in the next 4 minutes, mate. Just you tuck yourself in, right? Put your nightlight on and stay up a wee bit later the night, mate. You can do it. It's Friday. Treat yourself.
It's a Friday night.
You'll be fine.
Get the whiskies out.
That's Liam trying to delay the quiz. He is trying to delay the quiz, I'm telling you. Anthony Ingles is back in and he says, yep, he'll just be a bad influence on our newer and younger players. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. Philip DeMarco, why would any of them come to be backup? Well, we've kind of discussed that. Why come in to be backup? Come in and compete. That's the whole point, rate yourself. Fancy your chances of taking Joe Hart's jersey. His career's, been going like that for years. You should be coming in and going, I'll take the gloves off him. He's not the same keeper he used to be. I'm on fire now. Give me the gloves. And I think that's what I want from a number two. I want them to be competing for the number one jersey, not satisfied at joining Celtic as a backup. I don't want anyone who's willing to do that, to be perfectly honest to you. I don't want to sign any goalkeeper that comes in as a number two and is happy to be a number two, because they're not going to get the best at your number one if that's the attitude of your backup goalkeeper. Joseph Agnews then, he says, hail, Red Baron. Yes, it will just be any compo as long as Celtic compete and your team will be doing well. Some banter going on with the Baron. The Baron is in the house. It's always good fun. Right, okay. 48 minutes on the clock, 82 people watching live. If y'all just want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be lovely. I hate promoting all this shite, by the way. But we've got a sponsor now, fanboyfootball.com. Check out their Clobber on the website, obviously above. It's advertised in the top left corner. And they are excited to be working with the Double Doon quiz and obviously the Bhoycie bus in general. So the Double Doon quiz, may get a wee theme tune for that as well. You know what I mean? Dun, dun, dun. Right. Are you up for playing some Double Doon, Liam? Are you nervous, mate?
I'll scoosh out the park.
You're oh, I love it. I love it. It is the Double Doon quiz time. 125 points were gained by both Jonathan Bhoycie and by Stephen Tomlinson of the Endless Celts podcast. And what happened was Jonathan got 1 minute 32 seconds and Stephen Tomlinson got 1 minute 29 seconds. So by 3 seconds, basically on goal difference, Stephen Tomlinson is at the top of the leaderboard that I've still not worked out how to design yet. Quick rundown of the quiz. If you're new to it, you get 6 questions, right? First question is 5 points. Second question, you get 10 points. Third question's worth 20 points. Fourth question's worth 30. Fifth question's worth 40. And the sixth question's worth 50 points. Right. Then, when you're getting asked the questions, you've got 3 lifelines. If you back down, that's just because you're trying to keep the time shorter. Because if you're under a minute, you get 50 points. If you're 1 to 2 minutes, you get 30 points or 40 points or something. I can't remember. I've got it all written down. And then if you're 2 to 3 minutes it takes you to get through 6 questions, you only get 20 points. Any longer than that, you get sweet FA. Now, the lifelines, as I say, back doon would mean you're just basically skipping that question. That might be good for your time. Double doon, you've got to call before the question's read out. So I'll say question 1 before, or question 2 before each question. You've got to make your mind up which one you want to double doon on. Obviously, further down the quiz you go, the more points at stake. If you double it, even more points at stake. And then if you want to flip it, you can. Now, each week I come up with a flip it question that could be of the easiness of question 1. It could be of the difficulty of a question 6. But you can flip any of the questions. If you don't like the sound of them, you can use your flip it option, and you will, the one flip it question that is there, you will get. Now, if it's far harder than what a question 1 should have been, tough titties. If it's a question 1 standard and you flipped it on question 6, well played. Do you know what I mean? So it's all, yeah, right, no worries at all. There's loads of comments coming in. Are you ready to do this, yeah?
Let's give this a bash.
Good man, I like it, mate. You said it'd be a scoosh earlier, you didn't sound as confident there, mate.
I know.
That's what it's all about. So if we share our Windows stopwatch, honestly, man, being a computer, I don't know why I ever thought I would be good at this. But there's Stephen Tomlinson's time there, 1 minute 29. We'll reset it, right? I'll be as quick as I can, jumping from the stopwatch to the question, right?
That's
Are
fine.
you ready to play double doon?
Here we
3, 2, 1. Question 1. Who do Celtic face in the Europa Conference League last 16?
Bodo Glimt.
Correct. Question 2. What club did Celtic
Shamrock
sign
Rovers.
He's on fire. Question 3. How many seasons was Gordon Strachan in charge at Celtic?
4.
Question 4. What manager signed Stilian Petrov for Celtic?
Wasn't it John Barnes?
Question 5. What shirt number did Berham Kyle wear during his time at Celtic?
22.
And question 6.
Oh,
You're not going to use your double doon, no? You've not said double doon, mate.
I'll double doon it then.
You better do it for the last question. There's no point in not.
Double doon.
Who scored the second goal for Celtic in the 3-1 win over Stuttgart on the road to Seville?
That was Chris Sutton.
That's a good guess, right? Okay. I mean, we'll stop it there. It's between 1 and 2 minutes anyway. Stop there. You're at 105, I'm going to say. I think that was about 105. I took ages to stop it. Right. Okay. Here we go then, mate. Here we go. We can stop sharing the screen. Right. Question 1. Who does Celtic face in the Europa Conference League? I should really get a pen. I've got a pen. It's fell on the floor, you see. Right, question 1. Bodo Glimt, tick, 5 points. Question 2. Who did Celtic sign Liam Scales? And you were in there before I'd even finished the question, mate.
I knew that.
It was indeed Shamrock Rovers. Question 3. How many seasons was Gordon Strachan in charge? I thought you might say 3 because he won the 3 titles in a row.
No, but then he was here for the year after.
It was 4 years, and you got that right as well. Giving you 20 points for that one. Question 4. This was tricky. Who signed Stilian Petrov? You said John Barnes, and you were right to say John Barnes. 30 points. He's got 4 out of 4, ladies and gentlemen. Outstanding effort. Question 5. What shirt number did Berham Kyle wear during his time at Celtic? For 40 points. What an effort, by the way. You said 22. It was 33. That was a great guess. That was unlucky, mate. Very unlucky. Now, question 6. Who scored the second goal for Celtic in the 3-1 win over Stuttgart on the road to Seville? This was a tricky one as well. And you forgot to use your double doon, of course. So I had to prompt you on that, which probably made you go over a minute. But to be fair, I did the right thing. It was Sean Maloney. That was a tricky one because he came in because Henrik Larsson had broke his jaw, if you remember that.
Yeah, I've got the programme for that game as well.
Do you? And,
I've got the whole Seville run, bar the Suduva away game.
Bruce says it's maybe a trick not to know the rules. It's easy. I don't know how folk find the rules so difficult. Anyway, what does this mean for your points? So, obviously, in terms of their time, this is where it all becomes important. You're between 1 and 2 minutes, so there's another 40 points to add. Now, you got more right, I think, than the rest, but the big 2 questions you got both wrong, and you never got double points for any. So you got 5 points, 10 points, 15, 35, 65, plus 40, 105 points, mate, which puts you on the podium in 3rd place, 3rd out of 3, but 105 points, but 4 out of 6 questions right. Now, I don't know if Stephen Tomlinson's still watching, but did I say, Stephen, that you could get extra bonus points if you got the flip it question right? I can't remember. I can't keep up with these crazy rules that I make. Brown Warrior says the rules are as clear as the SFA rules. I'm going to need to type them up and put them up there because it's so straightforward. It's unbelievable. It is so straightforward. Stephen says not a chance or so. He says, well, I thought there was. Shall I ask you the flip it question anyway?
I do it anyway.
Well, I'll ask you the flip it question anyway. This is good. Who did Celtic sign John Hartson from?
It was Wimbledon.
Incorrect, mate. Coventry City.
I was thinking Coventry, but like, I know he played with Wimbledon as well, so I'm like, was it Coventry or was it Wimbledon? So that was the first team that came to my head.
Aye, well, you know it. You know it. Kaylee, I think we've got a fan, by the way. Kaylee says, Bhoycie boy, so glad you done this. Loving the channel. It's the best about 0 fucks given. Hashtag, I love it. You know that's the case. You know that's the case. Russell acting like the old Ranger. There's no cover up. The points are beside each question, right? If you say double Doon before the question's ready, you get double the points. Fucking easy. And then if you get under a minute, you get 50 points. If you do it between 1 and 2 minutes, you get 40. And if you do it between 2 and 3, you get 20. I don't know how this is so difficult for folk, man. Honestly. Don't back down, Bhoycie. Double Doon. That's what I'm doing on you bastards in the comments who can't work out. A simple game show, quiz, whatever it is. Celtic fans, come on down. Anyway, Liam, what a night it has been on the Bhoycie bus. We are going to leave with 90 people watching live. You've came 3rd, you got 105 points. Everyone's enjoyed themselves in the comments tonight. It's been a positive vibe. John Tomlinson says, another top show, Bhoycie. Unlucky, Liam. I want a crack, and I'm shite at quizzes. We will get you on one week, John. Don't you worry about that, my boy. If you haven't already,
quizzes as well.
Also, if you haven't already, check out English Celts on YouTube, Spotify, the lot. They've done an interview with John McCall. That is his name, Ross McCall. Oh fuck. Anyway, the actor, and it's going to get loads of traction. So do check that out if you get the chance. Liam just turned up and got 30 points. I hate these people. I hate them, honestly. Liam, you're the real winner, mate. Don't let him lie to you. Stevie Grant comes in saying it's a great show. Thank you, Stevie. We will leave you all there. Go enjoy your weekends. We're going to come back. I know the B team's playing on Sunday, 3 till 5. So I thought we'll do some Championship Manager. BCMO 102 stream. Liam, you partial to a bit of that?
Yeah, I'll probably be in there.
Aye, mate. You get in the comments, mate. We look forward to seeing you all then. We'll do some CM at 5 o'clock Sunday, or 5:30. I think I might be working in the afternoon anyway. So we will be back Sunday, late afternoon, let's say, tea time-ish for some chat, man. Then it'll be the Monday Club on Monday, funnily enough. And then we'll do some more CM midweek. I've got exciting plans for February. We've got sponsors. We've nearly hit the target on YouTube as well within a month, where they start flinging adverts in at the start if you're watching the show back and all that, and they start trying to fund some new alloys in the Bhoycie bus wheels. You never know. Brilliant to have you all with us. Thanks again to Liam Collow. This has been the Bhoycie bus. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all later. Cheers.